Yeah, of course, at least I deserve one. The title is Will It Matter? It's rhetorical, right? The answer is yes. So I'm playing the word Will It Matter? So it's a sharing time. I hope we walk out of the place, have better insights, but most important, inspired to do something. If I ask all of you to raise your hands, how many of you have done your will? Probably will be just a handful. If I can make you all walk out of this place and say you take the first step, I think we have invested our time wisely. The two speakers, Boon Siong and Mui Kim, talk about the living, L-I-V-I-N-G. I'm talking about the living. L-E-A-V-I-N-G. Let's do this, right? Time is about time, but I'm going to flash this. A quiz. I actually intend to give this to you to try, but so those of you who are seated behind, can't see, ask your partner to read to you. Can I give you just 1 minute to try? You all can see, right? Is it too small? If not, okay, I'll read it to you. Number one, my will is valid or no longer valid if my witnesses pass before me?
Still valid.
Who says so? Okay, it is still valid, huh? So I'll come to that. Thanks, Miki. Number two, my spouse and I have no children. If both of us pass away in a common disaster and we don't have a will, then my in-laws will inherit half more of my estate. Quite lengthy, yeah. True or false? Who says? Actually, there's not really there's an answer to it because there's no such thing as both pass away at the same time. Somebody must die first. Yeah, I'll come to that later. My executor can or cannot be my beneficiary.
Can.
Or can my beneficiary be my executor?
Can.
Can, of course. But is it good or not is another thing. Alright, out there sometimes I come across people say cannot, can. But it's a question of, and sometimes it is better to be an outsider. Fourth question, my house that's held tenancy in common or joint tenant can be willed according to my wishes. In other words, which one can you will away? The house that is tenancy in common or joint tenanted? Okay, I hear some silence. Means today, most of us here don't understand this term. It's important because there are people who come and ask me, Sau Bing, can you put it down in my will? When I pass away, my spouse cannot do this, cannot do that. I say, Auntie, I cannot. Why cannot? I have been the one who's paying for the house. I say, Auntie, cannot. Because the house is joint tenanted. Hokkien say, bo wei gong. Next one is insurance that have revocable nominations done can be willed or cannot be willed. Maybe I read too fast. The main thing is, when we talk about insurance, we can have mentioned do nomination and she used the word revocable. Yes, can be, but may have a problem. Okay, if time permits, because most of my clients have asked me something, I've done some insurance nomination, and now I have a new intention to give whatever I have to these people. Can my will override nomination?
No.
Huh? Wow. Yes and no. Yes and no. So these are the things that if time permit, I explain why. A little bit technical. When I meet my client, I'll run through this one by one. So these are some of the things. Number 6, if there's no nomination done on insurance policy, that means you didn't nominate your insurance policy, then the insurance company will pay out according to the law. True or false?
False.
That means, why false?
According to the will.
Yeah, the insurance company don't even know there's a will or no will. That's why the insurance company will wait. They'll wait. Okay? While they wait, of course they wait for someone to turn up. It's called the executor administrator. Right? They'll wait. But in an unhappy family, one group of people can come and take the money first. So sometimes when I talk to clients, will can be done online. Out there are people can submit and get the will done. Yes, cheap and good. Yeah, I mean, it's a business thing. Make it efficient, that's why wills can be cheaper. But I prefer to meet my client because there's a face-to-face, and I talk to the person, I say, in this case, you better do nomination. No, I use my will to override. Because some unhappy family better do nomination. Otherwise, someone can take the money first. Okay, so this is to tease all of you in this room to make you start thinking, I cannot give you all the answers. But once you say, Sau Bing, I don't understand what you talk about, then come and see me. Yeah, salesman talk like that one. Number 7, which one will void an existing will? Divorce, marriage, or both? Which one will void a will? Does divorce void a will?
No.
Does marriage void a will?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. So this is something for you to think about. Last one. Which of the following is true? A copy of the will is lodged with the will registry. I'll leave that unanswered because if you pay attention to my presentation afterwards, you'll know the answer. Number 2, CPF investment will be distributed by CPF nomination.
True.
False. False. Okay? CPF investment distributed is not distributed by CPF nomination. Okay? Yeah. If I'm single and I pass away without a will, my half sibling will inherit my estate.
True. False.
Okay, think about it now. Because for some people, it took me a while to figure out what's a half sibling. I know what's step sibling. What's half sibling? But got half parent or not? Don't have. Okay, we got step parent. Okay, so with that, I hope that kind of wake you up. Be with me for at least half an hour. I'll speak a bit faster to keep the tempo going. So let's begin. So this is my family. Just now, they very proudly showed the family. I also want to show them. Hey, my older bit, And one thing I noticed, come to family picture, everyone smile. But you look at my older son doesn't smile. Come to his one, he smiles a lot. Right? So I'm a father of 3, brother to 2, husband of 1. I'll tell you why this is this background. You help you understand why I have 2 siblings. It help you understand why I got my father to write a will. So basically, thanks to Boon Siong, Wei Kim, they have taught the first part about wealth accumulation, wealth protection, wealth management. There's one last piece of the jigsaw, which is the wealth distribution, because most of us in this room, we know that we can't bring all the possessions up there. And they did mention that be responsible. After all, we are stewards, on earth, and also we can't bring up, but make sure someone take over properly. So this one area, sometimes most of us think is a very legal area, very complicated, not necessary. So this is the last jigsaw puzzle. My first career is a teacher. That's why I speak like one. I always give quiz. And this red color one, after I come up to the business school, I say better have something, the red color one job there. then can talk about it. So when one person passes away, it's called estate. We got a plan, that's why it's called estate planning. But will is only one part of it, all right, one part. So this is me. This is what I do. When it comes to planning or will, can you all read the word in blue? To help? Yes, I only meet responsible adults. I have people who come and say, Sau Bing, can you talk to my spouse about will planning? If you drag the spouse or family member see me, I don't want, right? Because the person not convinced, you see. So I only talk to people who are responsible, and I think you are qualified because you are sitting it through this whole session to know about, do something. But what's the last sentence there? Last part of the sentence? We can be responsible, but we download template one, also not responsible. So when I meet my client, I say, hey, please write your will, don't forget about parents. I'll come to that later. There are some other things, you have some insights, realize after writing the will is not the end of it. Something related to part of the will. So, let's start. Shout out the answer, ready? 1, 2, 3. If there's a will? No, there's money. Okay? Number 1. Now, a lot of people say, it comes to money, people will all turn up, right? So this is one classic example. Someone died without saying anything. So I use a Hokkien a bit, Hokkien, bo gong, bo gong means what? Just in case, for a non-Chinese friend. You didn't say anything, right? So everyone also have a claim on it. So in this case here, is an elderly lady, Madam 1, she passed away. It comes to money, everybody say it's mine. So very interesting. A lot of people turn out, I blow this up. Even this great-great-granddaughter bring along the mother. Mother, let's try, maybe we have a share, right? Okay. So she said for the first time, meet new relatives. Never see. So if it comes to money, people will be interested. Right? Isaiah 38 says, even the Bible have some truth. Two parts. First part says, thus says the Lord, set your house in order, for you shall die and you shall not recover. The Bible recognizes that peace and end, right? Recognizes. So, your IC got date of issue, right? Got date of expiry? No. Even they don't even know when you die. Right? So, we know there will be a time. It's just that we do not know the timing, what when. We don't know when we die, right? Hey, folks, I walk out this room, aircon drop on me. It can happen, right? So that's the first part. But what's the earlier part to it? Thus says the Lord, set your house in order. I think you're speaking to Ezekiel or somebody. So before we leave, set your house in. So God, this is not the latest, this is not Western thing about writing will. It's all when God give us life, give us things, He say the same thing. However, time and again we see things like that. Children fight. Siblings fight among one another. Even those who are out of family will also fight one another. Okay? Now, but in this two talks, sometimes before I went to this line, I used the 10-wheel talks. We like to hear those juicy story, tycoons fight one another. Then the guy went and fight. No, before he died, lying in the bed, and then two guys in fight one, not injured. The nurse and the lawyer, those are fight. So later I'm going to use 3 life case, which is very common to all of us. Nothing to do with rich or not rich. Because the general thing most of us say, I'm not rich, right? Yes, you need not be crazy rich Asian. Okay? So you need not be crazy, you may not be rich. That is all of us here are Asian. Okay? So let me ask you, since Mui Kim and Boon Xiong talked about CPF, do we have CPF? Yes. If you have been working, at least one will never be used on which one? MediSave. If you have been working for 30, 40 years, how much MediSave would you have now? Most of you. At least 30, 40,000. DPS. What is DPS? Not HPS. DPS is the Dependent Protection Scheme. If you never cancelled it until you're age 30, there's a payout of at least about 40,000. Now that's one. The other one, most of us in this room, once you begin to buy your first house, what's the cheapest 3-room flat? How much is the market valuation? 100,000. And if you are a responsible adult, as mentioned by Wikin, buy a 2 or 3 insurance policy, term plan, I think on your life is worth at least $500,000. So that's why, for me, I want to go into will planning so that even with all due regards to different vocation, even a security guard who has worked hard, got his first BTO, very proud of his house. If he passed away also, there's something he gave away, at least a few $100,000. Okay? So everyone here qualified, including the young ones here who started working, you at least have the very first one called DPS. By the way, DPS distributed by insurance or distributed by CPF nomination? Sorry, it's not CPF. It's either Great Eastern or income. So that 47,000, that 2 insurance companies don't know who to give to, no? You don't know who to do. So do your nomination. Okay? So these are things, once you start thinking, please see Wen Xiong, oh, he wants to retire and relax, I can see him. Talk to him. Or maybe see Wikin. Ask them, help us, right? Help. So I'm going to structure this into 2 parts. First part is will it matter? 3 life cases, common to all. Number 1, single, widow. Now when I use the word widow, widows are singles, alright? In a way, I mean, no spouse. Right? The second one, very common, parents. Now, some of you here, doesn't apply to you, yes, but your children will be married, right? And they have young children. Parents who have young children, please do your will. I'm going to give one example. They need to write a will. Parents with young children. Of course, the last one, simply if there's anyone who depends on you. So, at the end, folks, you walk out this room, until you have done your will, you owe your loved ones 2 fundamental questions. Okay? Until you have done your will, Most of you have not. There's 2 questions they have not answered. Then, the last part will be the practical things. Some of you will be keen to know what is inside the will, so I call it matters of the will. Whatever, okay? And to make it simple, I use A, B, C, D, E. Just 5 things will do, just to launch off. Let's begin. To understand why a will is useful is to understand the probate process. Probate process means the day you pass away, what happens after that. Does it make sense? If we can picture, I close my eyes, what happened to my family, I think that will be the motivation to write the will. So let's use that. Now, most of us will have, remember I mentioned house, insurance, policy, bank account? Now, for friends who are even foreigners here, you open one bank account in Singapore, right? So they are there, but it's not inside this room, right? Where is it kept? In the bank. Understand? So, you're the owner of it. Anytime you want to take out, what must you produce? ID or IC, right? Once you show to the officer or insurance company, do anything you want. Change the name, sell off, buy. Understand? The moment you walk away, it's locked up again until you turn up again with the IC. So today, folks, all of us in this room, everything is stuck outside. Until you turn up with your IC, it's still stuck outside. So now back to the first question. What happens? We don't walk out of this room. First of all, what happens to the IC in Singapore's case? They don't take away, they punch a hole. Means not valid. So with that, folks, it sets the context. Everything is frozen. Because in Singapore, we go by ID one, no longer valid. And that begs the 2 fundamental questions. The first fundamental question is, who can now get it out? Understand? Even if you can take out, the second question is, goes to who? Now I'm sure in this room, all of us have intention. Understand? But the officers, the law don't know what's your intention. We all have. You may whisper to your children, this mommy's, papa's intention. But it's not on paper. So with that, we start off with the first one. I'm sure some of you later on have questions like joint bank account, property, joint entered, and so we'll skip that and think things that are in general context. So let's begin with the very first one on the right side of the presentation. Who can get your money out? So let's use this scenario. I pass away. And after a few days after funeral, my wife suddenly realized that Sau Bing has a bank account. Must have take the money out, right? Why leave it there? So she goes to the bank account, goes to the bank, try to close it. What document must she show? Yes. Alright, that's it, won't work. Because it merely informed the financial institution the owner has died. Okay? Show marriage cert is just to show relationship, it won't work. Show the will, it won't work. And that probably explains, okay, some of you may be lawyers, with due respect again, a lawyer written will doesn't mean anything. Okay, in terms of authority. Okay? So what the officer says is this: ma'am, I can only unfreeze by the court. Now Singapore got law one. So usually they'll use this word, ma'am, can you go and see a lawyer? See the lawyer for what? Is to apply the court order. Okay? It looks one case. Today is a little bit less. Somewhere at the top of this will be so and so died, and somewhere will be the name of that representative. Okay? So in Singapore, anything that has a Majula Singapura very powerful one. Some of us, after writing the will, we pour the red color seal, Royal Highness, until you pass away, the will got no chop, that's why no pake one. So, folks, first lesson learned: have will, no will. If things are frozen, you still need the court order to stop. So now why have a will? So someone got to apply. Who apply? You can be a lawyer or whoever kepo want to do lah. Okay? Someone need to apply, right? So do you apply now? No, still alive, right? Don't apply now, okay? Some of my clients after writing the will, they don't apply already. Apply later, because they said after the funeral, okay? So, folks, have will, no will, still to apply, right? So number one, I hope those at the back can see. If not, you see the screen, okay? First one, If there's a will, you go and see the court, the judge will give you a document called grant or probate, the title one. And the person who come and say, Mr. Judge, I want to be the will state, then the person got a title called what? Executor, not executor. My English not very good, but I think it's executor. Then the executor, better, whatever taken out, follow this will according to the will. Okay? Now, if there's no will, somebody still got to go to the court to apply the court order, right? Now, the court order has a title called letter of grant of probate or letter of administration. Okay? And the person, the capo person who go and do all this, right, is called. You take over, take over. Okay, right, at least with me. Administrator, okay? Administrator, okay? So, folks, now this, at least the 40, 50 of you next time were very powerful. When you go and tell people, I'm the executor, means ding. When you say I'm the executor for someone, means the person died with a will. If the person say I'm the administrator for my parent, that means the person passed away without a. Wow, you're good already. And so, but out there, people use the word anyhow. Now, whoever administrator, in the end, your court order you take out, you better distribute according to the no will. That will be the law. Okay? Alright, so are you following me? Am I speaking too fast? Alright. So let's start with this. This is a court order. Who has the first right? If there is a will, then that executor has the first right. All other people, nothing to say. Yeah? And of course, provided the will is valid, not fraud and all those. But if there's no will, somebody still could apply, right? Who has the first right? Not necessary. Okay, I'll explain to you in a short while. Even you want, I'm the older son, it is up to the court to decide. So I'll come to you, I'll show you later. Huh? So let's start. That's why people say better write a will. Otherwise got complication. So this is the first part of the equation. The complication is trying to get a court order because the person didn't say anything. So let's start with the scenario here. Elderly house owner. You all know of anyone who's like that? Most of us in this room, we live in that generation because of good government. Our parents own a house. Some of us here, maybe 50, 60 years old, your parents still have a house. So please, while we are seated here, you don't do your will, never mind. Our parents have a property. Eventually, they need to let go. This is the story of this gentleman. Is my father. First time I'm using that. I decided to use something more personal rather than a third party. My father, you know where this place is? Holland Village, right? Yeah, so he was featured in the newspaper and he complained. Picture come out, he feels so small. Seriously, he is so small. This is Walker, the reporter, waste up my time. My father now is 92 years old. I managed to get him to write his will 2 years ago. No need lah! I so over for write the will. I die, it's yours, right? True. I explain why. I managed to explain to him. Oh, by the way, I went to Google. My father, he's there is because he's the secretary of the Huipun. Right? The joker, the reporter, I went to Google just now, says he's a cemetery supervisor. I want to tell my father, I will he was doing secretariat duty when he's 81 years old, you know? Because no young people to step up. Please, young people take over the association. My father asked me, I said, don't want. Anyway, I had a heart-to-heart talk with my father. I said that, he knows he's coming of age. He's still going around fit. And we discussed, now, at his age, most of them don't have much asset except for the house. Now, my mom passed away. So obviously, he's the owner. So I told him that eventually this house at Benjamin will be sold. Why? He has 3 other children. He has 3 children. So we have our own HDB. Long and simple, we cannot take over the house. It has to be sold. So I told that, I said that I know the house will go to us, but that when you pass away, I got to go down to HDB to sell. HDB won't talk to me. I can go to HDB and say I'm the elder son. it won't work. Because imagine, HDB will tell Mr. Low, can you go and see a lawyer? That means go and apply the court order. Understand now? Actually, the court order can DIY, can go and apply on your own one, cheaper. But most of us got no time, because the lawyers will help us do this probate thing. Imagine this is an imaginary conversation. So the judge will say, Mr. Low, you want to apply the court order. What's the court order name in that case? In that case, what's the name called? Wrong. Letter of? Because my father don't have a will by them. Okay? So it's called letter administration. And the judge will say this. Your father, he asked you to do? Have he told me. In Singapore, no such thing, he told you. Did he write it down? Since your father didn't write it down, then the judge will say this. Do you know that there are other people with higher rights or equal rights to handle his affair? So the judge will ask, does your father have other? That's why must I come from you? No lah, not other wives lah, other children lah. Naughty you. Hey, I know my father is a cemetery supervisor lah. No, and when I do public talk, you will sure say other wives. No lah, other children, because my mom passed away, right? In law, just to let you know, if you are married, once you pass away, the first person to have a right generally is who? Your spouse. If there's no spouse, then will be the children. That's why the judge will say, prove to me where's the wife, or my mother don't have a show. Then the judge will ask, does your father have other? Other children. Have. 2 more. So the judge will say, do you know that all 3 of you have equal right? Go and ask the 2 whether they want to do or don't do. That means go and get a letter of renunciation. It's an affidavit to declare the other 2 don't want to do. Can you all see this English word here? Renunciation means what? Hokkien say mai zhou. Okay? You think people want to be executor? No, nobody want to administrator. So I got to get them to write on consent. It looks like that one. Okay? It's a declaration to ask the other. I mean, this is enough format. The rest say the one. Now, we have seen cases where people pass away without will, and we told them the court require those with equal right to come together to sign. What happens if there are 5 children, one in Cambodia, one disappear, the other 2 say, tell the judge that 2 migrated, the judge will say, you say one. Prove that they are no longer around. Understand my point? That's why I told my father, please, write a will so that when I show to the court, the judge is stated you asked me to do. Understand? That's one of the reasons why we write a will. Sometimes it's not about distribution. It's about appointment. Now what I highlight to this thing here, can you see this word here? What's the difference between this and this? It can be a group of people say, I don't want to do, but I don't want her to do. That's where again the complication can come in, understand? Knowing that if a person has this kind of family set up, better write a will, otherwise will fight. Fight to be right, to be doing this and all. So that's the whole thing. So I finished the first part, understand? Please get your will done so that other people don't have to give them extra trouble. Now, I can get my siblings to sign, but it's tedious, you know why? I have 2 siblings, right? I can get my sister to sign, she stays in Cantonese. The other one is in California. Doesn't make sense. He can fly back for funeral. So to ask them to come back to sign this affidavit doesn't make sense. So I told my father, please, since you want me, I'm the older son, write it down on a piece of paper. He said, where? Means on a will. That's how sometimes I talk to the elder folks. Instead of talking about, auntie, uncle, this house give to who? I just talk to them, auntie, uncle, you both of you not around. No, today, it's not longer taboo. You will talk. I said, auntie, I noticed the family photo, there are 3 children here. So who have you gone? Who do you want to go down to HDB to settle this thing? Ask the second one, he's a doctor. Effectively, when he say this, they are appointing the executor. First step to will, right? Auntie, since you want it, cannot say one, have to write down. Write on a will. That's all. Very simple, understand? Sometimes the approach is all about appointment, not distribution. Distribution thing is really, heart pain and all those. So, next one is here. Do you have anyone, or even yourself here in this room, someone who is married with young children? Yeah, okay. Or those of you, your children, married with young children? Have, So those parents here who have children, who just got married, going to have baby, please think of this. This is the case now. It can be a bit complicated, but it's the same principle. Take a look here first. Got it? Got it,
Oh.
The O is too sharp. Marrying a foreign wife or what? Looking through it, Man,
Very messy.
remarry, newborn, wife. Obviously, he died very early because the child is very young. Okay? Now, the man died without saying anything. So now, the wife obviously is from a foreign country. When the husband passed away, no one in Singapore, right? Must well go back. But before go back, husband got things. Part of his house, right? Must well go and clear the things. And then she wants to clear the thing. All the financial institutions say, sorry ma'am, you got to apply the court order. But because there is no will, the wife is called the well done. Okay, so she went to apply as administrator. Who has the first right to handle the husband's affair? Spouse, right? That's why when I talk to young people, they say, no need to write will one, because if I pass away, my spouse will handle, correct? In this case, the problem comes in once you have young children. Because the judge will say something like this. So she's applying what? The court order is what? Letter of administration. Again, the judge will say this. Ma'am, your husband didn't ask you to do. Didn't write it down. Oh, judge, of course I'll be husband and wife. I don't know why your husband never write a will upon you. Means never say, right? Never say. In that case, even if you want to do, I need to protect the children. What do you mean by that? Okay, now this is the first time you see this intestacy law, which I'll go through you very quickly. This is for non-Muslims, for non-Muslims. Now there are 9 rules. I'll come to it shortly. Can you all see rule number 2 and 3?
Yes.
It means that if a person died without saying anything, if you are a non-Muslim, how belongs to the spouse, how belongs to the children. Understand? So come back to this slide. The judge said, ma'am, I know you want to be capable handle this thing. I do not know why your husband never appoint you. Confirm you get half. The other half is your
Children.
ma'am, I know you are the mother, but I need to protect the children. I do not know you. I need to protect the children. As a mother, you may kelong. Prakash, you know what's kelong? Kelong? Okay, explain. Kelong is misuse. Even though you are the mother, I do not know why your husband asked you to do. So I assume you will not be working well. I need to protect the children. So ma'am, you want to handle the things? Because I scared you take money, you run away, no. So ma'am, first of all, you want to be, go and find, put up admin bond. A bond, The money loss, at least the court keep the amount. Not much, right? It's not much. The problem is this one here. Can you get a co-administrator? Now what's a co-administrator? Remember the court order down there have the name of the person, right? Now the court asks to put 2 names. Means what? These 2 persons, when they want to take the money out, it needs check and balance. Understand? Already, so tedious. My husband died, and the judge now want me to find someone. Friends, those of you, especially if you are not in Singapore here, you got relatives, you can put any relative to a co-administrator. But for those who are not from here, where to find a co-administrator? You ask a colleague. Not only that, the judge may not be satisfied because the judge don't know who is the co-administrator. The judge will say, can you also find 2 guarantors? Okay? Because in case any money missing, the guarantor make good. And this guarantor cannot be anyone. The guarantor net worth must be equivalent to the dead person's net worth. And it's not 2 add together, it's individual. Now you're wow. So that's why I always ask young people, once you start a family, please write a will. Because they will always say, never mind, when I pass away, my wife handle. I say, yeah, your wife will handle or your husband handle, but it will be very messy because the judge will want the spouse to have the co-administrator, 2 surety and admin bond. Understand? And that's my motivation why I wrote my will. Not because of distribution. I don't say also my children will get some. But I don't want my wife, on the day after I pass away, and she tried to get a court order, and she has all this problem, and she said this idiot Sau Bing never write a will. Yes. Yeah. And so this is the reason why we put up. And this is if there's not surviving parent, no. What if those parents pass away, left the children, everything stuck, right? Then you have one capo person who wants to apply, right? And same thing. The judge will ask, put up admin bond, and all those things. And my question is here, you think the relative is willing? Some are willing, but some are not able. Some are able, but not willing. Number two, these things can happen, right, one after another. And interestingly, I ever set up a booth in KKH to talk about will planning. Funny, right? Nowhere is KKH, right? KKH is the place where people give birth, right? And here we talk about end of life, right? But today the young people are not so, they walk past, I mean, we put beside another one, self-education planning, right? Then my side one is will planning. I asked the young couple, congratulations, I need to ask both of you, in case both of you are not around, who will be the guardian? Oh yeah, huh? They look at each other. Grandparent? I say, very good, very good. Which side? Which side? Who's the trustee? Yeah, they are siblings, which one? Understand? So, which side? We are caught already. So all of us have intention. But a guardian is not the one who handles money, who write, exclusion form, change of school. So if both parents are not around, either side, the grandparent can come, the principal is in trouble, no. Whose signature is valid? Understand? So the will is one document for young people, pen down and appoint who is the guardian. I'll come to that in a short while. So, Bible also mentioned this. Let each of you look not to his own interest, but also the interest of others. So folks, if there's a reason why you want to write a will when you walk out, it's not for us on earth. Consider the problem the others go through. Are you following me? So with that, we come to the first part of who can get your money out. You need the grant, a court order, whether it's a grant of probate or letter of administration. But if there's no will, then it's going to be a big hassle. Okay? So I'll give you the two scenarios. Now we quickly come to the second part, which is, what's the second question? The first one is who can get my money out? Now once the money is out, the second question is who to get it, right? So if you have a will, you say, you decide, right? If you don't say anything, then the law decides. So now we come back to this intestacy law. So bottom line, that formula may not be your wishes. I'll give you one or two examples in a short while. But here to make you a bit more powerful, well, now speak like lawyers like this. Number one, the person who made a will is called, it's not called will writer. It's called testator. Okay? Ladies are called testatrix. So technically, you are making your will. But while you come for my help, you pay me some professional fee to advise, and then we craft it. That's why there are people who then will download from Google. They also can, right? So bottom line, you also have a title. So you are the testator, testatrix, someone who handles your affairs called the administrator and executor. Okay? Now, if you pass away, so right now most of you who have no will, those of you who have done a will, you are called testator, testatrix. But I suspect about 90% of you have not written. You have a title. You know what the title? It's called intestate. Not intestine. Intestate. Which is why, just now I show you the 9 rules. The 9 rules, do you remember? Can you see the title here? Means bokong. You didn't say anything else, so at least now you understand what we mean by intestate. So, clarify number one, the Muslims have their own rule if you don't say anything. But for non-Muslim in Commonwealth country, we follow here. So altogether there are 9, and it's not for you to decide from heaven. I think I choose this one, I choose no. It flows down the reading. Out there are people say better write your will. You don't write your will, the government take your money. Not true, not so fast. So don't be so kanchong. It's not true. They will check. So let's do a very quick one. This part is in case you don't have a will. Just to let you know, rule 1 to 4, I hope those at the back can see. To make it simple, once you're married, rule 1 to 4 will apply. If you don't say anything, you read from one of them. Rule 6 onwards is you're not married or your spouse passes on. So let's start from the first one. This is the most common. Those of us who just got married, no children, and you pass away, then half will go to your spouse, half will go to your parents. Looks good, right? But sometimes may not be so. Okay, I won't mind. If over the years today the couple don't get married, both are very successful in career, right? Successful in career. So usually the other party also financially very well. Then some people may say, my spouse got no children, right? My spouse don't need so much. In fact, there are those, if they don't have children, they spend more time with their
Nieces and
nieces and nephews. And usually they say, I want to give. So here don't have. Understand? So that's one motivation now why people want to write a will is the distribution. The earlier 15 minutes was on appointment problem. Now it's the distribution. Once the children come in, ta-da! Beautiful, right? But who is left out? Now in Malaysia law, intestacy law, Malaysian government, their law is quite different. They will have at least 1/4 for parents. I do not know why Singapore don't have. So again, and just to let you know, I've done my will, my wife done her will. I peep. Not the same one. Ladies always remember, guys usually wife and children. Ladies will be husband, children, and parents. You're great, ladies. The guys got nothing to say. Don't go review your will. I'll ask my client, hey, how come didn't give some to your parent? No need lah. If I pass away, my sibling look after. Hey, not fair lah, right? If you're alive, if parents fall down with hip fracture, you all will chip in to pay. Get a maid, right? Now you leave, then the sibling take over. Of course, some of my clients say my siblings are very well to do. Fine, understand? It's for me to provoke question. Because some of my clients say, I never think of it. So folks, actually when you engage someone to write a will, whether it's $100, $500, $1,000, it's advisory. Make sure the person help you think through. This one is spouse but no children, no child. So this is usually for those single child. Eventually when they grow up, then they marry, everything goes to spouse. But again, alright, someone left out, niece and nephew. We'll come to the other one here. You're not married, you have no children, everything goes to parents. Looks good, right? Looks good. But usually for clients who are in this case over the years, as they are now 60, 70 years old, you also have wealth, right? And they say this looks good, give to my parents. But you have 1-2 house to give to parents that are 80 plus over years old. People will help them spend. You help them spend. And just now we talked a little bit about, Boon Xiong mentioned, and I think Mui Kim also mentioned about learn to give to others. Because as they grow older, they may not need that $2-3 million. The rest of people will come and borrow money from them. Okay? So don't distress. Still provide, but also distribute to some others. No parents, not married, no children, go to sibling. Here, sometimes some people have siblings who like to play with sand. One group will go to Sentosa to play sand. The other one is Marina Bay Sands. I have a client who decide to give to their sibling. I already encountered their sister, HDB. One of the brother out in and out of jail. She wants to leave something, but she's afraid if she will away the house, she will spend it. So the will, you can add some clauses, put it under trust. So some of you first time hear about trust. You can put a clause. This house will be managed by one of the koko. You can move in. The meantime, any renter comes to you. Arrangement. So be good steward. Don't just give. We must help people. We must be responsible. Here is, if there's no parent, no children, no spouse, it goes to grandparent. Are they still around? You say one. If I'm your administrator and you pass away without spouse, without children, without parent, without sibling, I cannot assume your grandparent gone, Under the law, I must search for them to prove they are dead. Then I give to the uncle, auntie. Understand my point? Correct. Because the administrator, when you do the duty to apply for a court order, he has to declare who are the one left behind. He cannot tell the judge that I presume the grandparent are 100 years old. My father, 92 years old, is still walking around. Not so easy. Now here, you don't have go to uncle auntie, right? But the interesting thing is, let me ask you, your uncle auntie have, yeah, right? Are you closer to the mother side or the father side? You see, you all got preference already. Here is equal. Here is equal, both sides. The uncle from the father side, the uncle auntie from the mother side is equal. Of course, the last one, when it's proven nobody, then finally, on National Day, the government will thank you for coming to nation building. Right? No government people, yeah? Right? Okay, here. Some of you read the story of a house where don't know who is owning it, right? They found skeleton, long and short of it. Even the government, in the end, before they kind of repossess under rule number 9, they went to look for professional lawyers, because not free, to search for the owners. Right? So basically, it came on the newspaper, do DNA testing, whether any relatives, in the end, don't have them, the government. Then it will take years, So it's not true. If you don't write a will, government should really take. They will make sure they clear and all this. So, right now, case study try. If you're following me, we try this short one. Can you bear with me? Very short one. Try again. Long and short, this guy is alone. He has a child. He has a flat. Who stayed in the HDB flat with him? The son and the grandmother, right? Now, he died without saying anything. So that means whatever he has, he didn't say anything. True story. After the father died already. He's, I think, 18, 19 years old. He stayed in the house and he must well move on and want to study. He need money. So he wants to sell the HDB flat. Cannot. Okay, I'll give you 10 seconds, I drink some water. Cannot. Talk to the person next to you. Cannot. Okay, why cannot? Because grandma is there, right? Alright, everything is all emotional one, right? It's not emotional, it's legal. Okay, I know emotional is not right. Let's go back by law. Guy died without saying anything, so the distribution is according to the intestacy law. Take a look. Okay. What does he say? The dead man supposed to go to spouse and children, right? The man has spouse or not? No more. Once you're divorced, no more. Means everything the husband, the man has is the son. In that case, can the son sell the house? Yeah. Yes. He went to the court and the grandma lost the case. It's true, right? So, in fact, what do you think happened to the grandparent? The grandma? Okay? Now, it is true, it's recorded in the proceeding. The judge literally, because it has to go by law, the judge turned to the grandma and said, ma'am, sorry, your late son didn't say anything, so your grandson take the house. We are short of saying we're very sorry. Then the judge turned to the son, Sonny, right now, whether grandma wants to stay or not, it depends on your heart. Young Sing. You think the son, you get me? So don't leave it to chance. If you are the father, what would you have done if you are alive? You will write a will and say that when I pass on, this house, could be given to the son, provided he let grandma stay and collect no rent, collect rent. Collect no rent. Collect rent even. Collect no rent. Okay, here sometimes I'm quite worried. I plucked this from the forum page. Okay, forum page. And basically, I brought it up. He says, my 8-year-old parent very good. They sold their house and they now stay with my family and we're happy to have them. I very worry for a parent. They are merely occupant. Understand? So must think through, I'm coming to an end already. First question, who gets the money out? Need to get a court order. No court order, very difficult. Okay? Second one, you may want to bring money out, but certain people are left out, not according to your wishes. So, what's a will? This is quite standard. Right? It's a declaration by the testator. Now you understand what I mean, a testator, right? And that's a format which is quite standard. You pay a lawyer, whatever, it's just to make sure that the language is clear, okay? But the format is there, two witnesses, and all those, and only take effect when he pass on. Right? So even the Bible say that. And sometimes elderly people dare not write the will, you know why? Because they thought once they write a will, everything they will away. Not true. Even Hebrews recognize that it can only take effect upon death. Right? Even book of Hebrews recognizes this. So what's the reason to write a will? Today family size is big or small? Yes. Big also got problem. Right? Small, all gone, then give food. Second one, do we travel more often?
Yes.
More often. This thing can happen, no time to write. Of course, here we hope marriage lasts, but increasingly getting a bit tough. Property today, not bad, huh? Some of us have more than one. And when you have 2-3 property, you only have your 3 property, you have 2 children. How to split? A bit tough, huh? Life expectancy, longer or shorter?
Longer.
Longer, right? But sometimes it can also anything happen. By the time the person wants to write, cannot. I have some clients come and tell me, cannot. We rejected the case. It's not right. Cannot. 10 seconds read through. Once you say yes, you better write a will. Okay? In fact, if your answer is yes to anything, then better start writing the will. Okay? So I will give you the notes later. 87% of people have not written the will. I suspect the figure will be the same. Why? Number one, people think a lawyer is needed. As I said, you show the will to the bank, no use, not because of the lawyer. Even actually, the Law Society says you do not need, as long as you're 21 years old and then you have a sound mind. I don't need a will. Okay, take a look. Sometimes I have people who say, I don't need to write a will. 1, 2, 3. Take a look. Okay, we are laughing over which part because the guy say, as if you know. Yeah, that's what I have. Before of course I do proper handover. That makes sense, right? Next one, I don't need a will. Take a look. I don't need a will. Okay, take a look. True or not true? Why not true? Because you assume you die first, But what happens if the other person passes away first? All things join become back to you, no? Then give to who? Who's the executor? Who's the administrator? Understand my point? Just because you have done join, you assume you go first, everything go, but what if the person pass first and then flow back to you? It can happen. Remember this thing, no IC? No IC doesn't mean 冇眼睇學. Okay, for the it's a Cantonese phrase, 冇眼睇, no eyes to see, leave it to them. You have no eyes to see, but these people have eyes to see, the one left behind, people like me, the lady and all those. Okay, so again, it must be a sense of response to those who are left behind. What's the excuse for writing delay? I'll flash this. I give you 10 seconds. You choose what's the number one reason. Okay, what's the number one reason why people don't write review? Okay, no, the answer is not. Okay, give me, what's the top one, I guess? Which one? What's the top one?
Law take care,
Okay, no, not true. Try another one. Touchy issue, not true. Tell me what's the answer.
Like law.
Okay, okay, I tell you why. Every time I give a talk, okay, at the end, people say something, thank you, and they say, let me think about it. Come on, okay? They already know, they must do, think about think about what. So, can I have 5 more minutes?
Yes.
Okay, part 2. I think this is a part at least walk away. Now the first part is what you do. This second part is what to think about. So normally when I meet my client, I go through. So now, methods of the will, I use ABC. A. Okay. Just to let you know, you can write whatever you want. The will cannot override law of the land. Okay? Long and short, the will cannot. You know whose house is this? You all know, huh? Yeah. You can write a will. No. Okay? Open line. So ABC, A stands for what? Assets. B stands for beneficiary. C stands for court order. Now, when my clients meet me, not only we write about the will, I explain the court order process. Then they think, they say, well, better don't ask my wife to be executor. Or my husband. Possible, because I walk through the court process. That's, and finally, the choice of executor. So let's start with this. These are very common. Property. Which one can you will away? Single and tenancy in common. Joint tenant is, I know it's 2% or 2-3%. Joint tenant means you pass away, it goes to the other person. The law of the land says that. So if you want to have a say, the moment when you buy a property, the title deeds, the legal, tell the lawyer, say, I want it to be joint tenants in common, whether 30%, 40%. Okay, then in that case, you can will away the portion. Joint account, can will away or not? Yes and no. Okay, it's very touchy because when you write your will, all my bank account is to follow my will. Then those people you join account with, they may not be happy. And so this again, when I meet my client, we discuss about it, whether it works or don't work. Mentioned to you already, insurance nomination. Yes, the will can override, but got a problem. Because the insurance company didn't know. Let's say I nominate Prakash, I nominated Prakash, right? Bankash, sorry. I nominated him. And years later, I decide all to give to Leslie, including the insurance I nominated him. But years later, my intention changed. I said, everything go to Leslie. Yes. So which one is valid? Which one is valid?
The latest one.
The latest one, right? Right, because it's later in instruction. Now the problem is the insurance company didn't know I have written this will. So that's why later on, he went to take the insurance proceed, and then now comes Leslie, according to the will, he go to the insurance company, he bank table, what happened to my money? The insurance company say, I follow the nomination. Then Leslie say, but the will says, his latest instruction is to give to me. The insurance company said, how do I know? I don't even know there's a will out there. Understand? So the latest thing, in this technical thing called 2009, after that, the insurance company, they sorted out. The insurance company said, Ken, you done a nomination, you wrote a will to override what we say can. Can you give us a copy of the will? We keep it with us. But it's very troublesome, right? So this just to highlight, you can, but it's very troublesome. Business ownership, as we are running business, please consider that, because usually we talk about house everything, but you run a partnership with some friends, and when you pass on, you also have a share in it, right? So technically, the estate, the surviving family member, some of them may want to come in, wow, this is good business. I want to now sit in as a partner. So this needs to be sorted out. What to do with it. So talk about business ownership is something to think about. And of course, personal effect, very common, is jewelry and all those. One of my clients, he's the one who led the first team to Mount Everest. He no children, his wife. His will is very simple, everything goes to the wife. So I disturbed him and said, if you're a mountain climber, all your books, all the mountaineering books, mountaineering gear, you say you give to your wife, she will sell to Karang-Guni men. Then he decided to amend the will and say, all these things will give to the Mountaineering Society of Singapore. Understand? So we will get a bit complicated when you begin to itemize a little bit. Okay, I'll skip this. Assets. Once things are put in trust, no touch. Okay? Explain when I make to you one-to-one. And I mentioned to you CPF. When we say CPF money inside the account, when there are 3-4 accounts, the will cannot touch. CPF board is like this one. If there's no nomination, they will distribute according to the intestacy. But if there's nomination, they give. So CPF investment is not by CPF nomination, because the moment you took out 50,000 from your OA to go and invest with an insurance company, the day you pass away, CPF account is closed. Money cannot flow back. So where is it staying? If we stay with the insurance company, then whether there's a nomination, no nomination, understand? Yeah, so that's just for you to understand. And I'll quickly. Beneficiary. I make my clients think a bit further. You name your spouse, your children, and all those. Then I ask what happens if this one pass away, who's the substitute? Why you want to do that? Is to facilitate the co-executor. If I'm the executor, not here, then give who? I also don't know. Huh? So usually a good will written will have the backup, substitute, and all those. And the will can state, example, I told you about the brother who went to jail. You can give to them, but you get some instruction to say that the money, however, is held by someone else, means you put it under trust. Okay? For minors, for mentally incapacitated, and for those who go to the sand, play sand. The will need not be by percentage, it can be by lump sum. This one, don't forget to give to others who deserve it. I knew this lady, I was a teacher, I went to IT for a short while, and she decided, she's single, she decided to give back to the institution that she enjoyed working with. So don't forget. I told you before, there's no such. So some of my clients will say, Sau Bing, okay, these are my beneficiary. When me and my wife pass away, these are my beneficiary. Immediately I stop, I say, ma'am, there's no such thing. Sir, there's no such thing as both of you pass away. Because someone had to pass away first. Then it depends, your estate flow to who. Understand? There's no such thing. If both of us die, then my children get help, and then her part will give help. Because you flow to one another. So if I've written a will, if I don't have a will, I don't say anything, and this is my spouse, half of my things will all go over there. Alright? So technically there's no such thing as this scenario when both of us pass away together. I'll ask who died first. Okay, and where the money come from. So under the Civil Law Act section, it says that if in a common disaster, when both person, example, me and my wife pass away, by the time they come, they see both person pass away, right? They cannot determine who died first. Then they go by the one with the more handsome look, older age. Then the older age person died first. Then if there's no will, then follow intestacy, then it will flow to the person, the other person. So the thing flow. Okay, so you need some planning. Now court order I went through already. Must apply court order, right? These are very important. To apply court order, must produce the will, debt cert. Now this is the headed. Okay, I'll talk about the will first. Interesting. Must produce original will, no photocopy. You give photocopy, the judge may not be convinced. So back to the question then. On the day when executor needs to apply court order, the executor needs to know where the will is kept. So my father, I asked my father finally, he wrote his first will, but he don't want me to be there. So I know he appointed me, so I said, Dad, can you tell me where you keep the will? Don't ask lah. Then I said, well, if you don't tell me that, how do I know where to get the will? Okay? So this is a real case, Silk Air. Remember Silk Air incident? This person passed away, really had a will, and the children knew, but they could not find the will. Now, again, some of us have written a will and we went through so and so, maybe law firm and everything. After writing the will, we pass it to the lawyer and keep. That's not a very good suggestion. 40 years later, you pass away, the lawyer cannot be found. Understand? Whether lawyer to collect anyone, the executor must say this. So, number one, safe place doesn't mean secret place. Somebody need to know where is it. Alright, so your executor cannot say this, tell the judge, don't know, don't have, can't find. Okay? So where to keep the will? Normally I use ACS. For me, I put it accessible. Okay, so I don't hide the will. I put it on the shelf because why? If I pass away, my wife after doing the funeral, at least she won't have to hunt for it. Okay? Number two, my substitute executor is a church friend. Substitute, backup in case my wife passed away, my children too young. So I get a church friend to be the substitute executor. My friend doesn't know the layout of my house. That's why I put it on the shelf, is common sense. Number two, C stands for confidentiality. There's nothing for me to hide. For my case, nothing to hide. My wife can take a look, hey, how come you give me so little? There's nothing to hide. Okay? The last part is security, of course, away from fire, and all those things. Right? So in the end, where to put in Certis Cisco, or put under the bed, or put with a lawyer, the executor must be able to know where it is. Now, does the executor need to keep the will? Not necessary. For some of us, I may get Leslie to my executor, but because I don't want him to take a look, I say, Leslie, when I pass away, please collect from Mr. Robert Goh. Then that day he look for Robert, go, where's Robert? Robert, yeah, cannot find where the will is. So that begs the question. That begs the question, then people say, better register. Oh, wow, register, yes. Most countries today, they have a registry, and the registry, after writing the will, they put in all the details. In Singapore case, they also have one. Okay, it's a bit too small, then you have to put in your name, address, and they also put, where is it kept? So in case you have done your will, and some of you may want to register the will registry will ask you where is it kept. Okay, one kept at home, one kept with auntie, so and so. So it's for the family to look for it. Okay? Take a look. Inside here they put, can you all read this? 1, 2, 3, what it says? The registry does not have a copy of it. So you may have done the will registry, but your family cannot find the will. No use. You have done the will, they can find it. You didn't do the registry, it doesn't matter. Understand? So that's why the will registry in Singapore is optional. It doesn't make it more valid. It's just simply to tell the world you've done a will, so and so have kept it, that's all. So that's will registry, schedule asset. You know when you pass on, the person must tell the judge, the executor administrator must tell the judge what are you clearing, So you have to submit a list of this bank account, things to be taken out. It will be in the court order, Your executor also don't know where. So that's why, after writing the will, take out one spreadsheet, list down all these things. Because on the day when you apply for a court order, the judge will tell me, submit the list of items. That's what I meant by when we write a will, do the will responsibly. Don't just, after writing the will, that's it. Because the executor don't know what to do. Came from newspaper article. Can you all see here? The spouse was the executor. It took 2.5 years, you know why? I don't even know what my husband had. The judge said, please submit what the husband had. That's why it delayed. It delays. All debts must be settled. No such thing, you live and then everything. Okay, it has to be settled. Executor, choose somebody who's willing, available, diligent, of integrity. Okay. Finally, trustee, as I mentioned to you, these people hold the money for the beneficiary. Guardian, in Singapore's case, biological parent is always the guardian, but if someone passes away, then appoint someone else. Coming to the last 2 slides. Witnesses. We must have 2 witnesses. Witnesses' job is to bring out the content of sound mind, to witness that the person is not false. This always have the first question. Sau Bing, after getting my will done, what time my witnesses die? Is the will valid? Still valid? Okay? The law says it's still valid, long and short. Hey, I've been a witness for many will, I'm entitled to die earlier, The ones are doing longer than you. Okay? Yeah, so it makes no sense. It doesn't invalidate the will. If there's a will, hello, there's a way. I'm going to end with here, folks. Get a will, you can DIY. If not, look for professional help. Some of us say, I don't need, I can do myself. Yeah, you can do yourself. Be careful. I give my children half I can. Then your house will end up half like that. Yeah? So I'll end here. Can I have a applause of charity first?